Welcome to the Freewrite, a show where we dive into the art of songwriting, storytelling, and the creative process. Join me as I sit down with writers, musicians, and other creatives to talk about process, inspiration, and creating something from nothing. If you're an artist looking for community or a fan wanting to hear about the creative process, there's something for you here. My guest today is Jordan Fox. Jordan is a Los Angeles-based composer, producer, songwriter, and multimedia artist. He just released his first single, but he's been making music in various capacities for most of his life. Jordan's work as a composer primarily exists at the intersection of fashion and music. He works as a media composer for the fashion industry and writes music for brand, social content, and fashion shows. This is a great conversation. I'm very happy to have met Jordan and to be able to talk about songwriting with him. I think that you're going to enjoy this conversation. So please stick around for my conversation with Jordan Fox. Jordan, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm excited to talk to you and just chat songwriting with you.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Well, let's start just kind of broadly, generally, how if you could tell me about your path to songwriting.
So as far as starting with music, I started when I was like 10 years old. I started with the drums. So my dad was a drummer, and I just came home from school one day and there was like a practice pad and some drumsticks on the table. And he was like, hey, if you want, like, I can sign you up with lessons. Like, my friend can teach you. And so I started playing the drums at 10. And then I kind of just was in and out of bands starting at maybe like 13, like middle school-ish. I started going in and out of bands. And while I was like in bands, I started like kind of putting up ideas, I guess, where I was like, why don't we try this? Like, why don't we try this? Like something like that. And then I started singing also in high school. And I think it was at the end of high school when I kind of started exploring songwriting just like by myself, just because I think it still comes to bite me today, but I never really learned. I never started out on like a chordal instrument, like piano, guitar, or something like that.
Sure.
And so I think my writing has suffered a little bit from that, even to this day. But so I started writing like with just like basic music theory knowledge, with that. Then I started writing songs from there, and then started writing songs like throughout like junior college and all that stuff. And then I kept going in and out of bands. While I was in school, that kind of transitioned a little bit into, so I also got into production. Like I went to like Fullerton College, and I got some, like, I learned electronic production during that time. And I think that kind of naturally led into more of like a compositional type exploration type thing. Because I really liked like music for choirs. Like, I was like singing in choir, like in high school and in college. And I really liked that. And I wanted to figure out how to write for that. And so while I was in school, I was still like, I started exploring that a little bit. And then I graduated my undergrad. And then the couple of years after my undergrad, I was kind of like just really exploring writing music for choir. And then that kind of developed into a portfolio. That kind of developed into me applying for grad school for composition. And then did my master's in composition. And while I was in my master's for composition, I went back to songwriting, where it was kind of like, now I have this, I don't know. Now it's like I have a different perspective on writing music in general. So I want to apply that to just like songwriting in general. I feel like I kind of approach it differently. And that's been kind of fun the past maybe couple of years now, just like exploring songwriting. But I just recently started getting more serious with it and to put out the first single and stuff like that. But now it's like a truncated version of my journey with music.
Sure.
Yeah.
There's so much I want to get into. I'm curious about maybe before we get to diving deeper on songwriting itself, I'm curious about just like what you do professionally. Like, we've only just met, but I know that you do like composition and whatnot for like fashion, like for also video means you're composing for video often. Will you tell me broadly or generally about that? I'm curious.
Totally. Yeah. So as far as what I do, it's honestly just become like a little bit of everything. And it's great on some days and terrible on other days, because you're just like, you don't really get very far in any of them. And so alongside with music, growing up, I was drawing a lot. And
Yeah.
so I that naturally led into like graphic design, like a little bit after high school. And so I started freelancing with graphic design when I got a little bit more serious with that. And then that kind of led into, so there's always been an interest with fashion. That's always been like definitely something that I've wanted to delve into for as long as I can remember. And so now I'm involved a lot in the fashion industry, mainly like through a lot of adjacent channels.
Yeah.
So as far as the multimedia stuff, like photo and video, I was like messing around with photography growing up. Like I used my dad's camera to like take some pictures with that. But while I was in grad school, so when I went to grad school for music, I knew that I wanted to explore writing music for the fashion industry
Mhm.
because I was like, someone has to do it for like fashion shows, like
Yeah.
social content, stuff like that. Like I know they're going to license music or they're going to work with a musician. So it's like I want to, and I feel like that was like an industry that I understand. And
Mhm.
so I was like, I want to be the guy to do that. And so for like my first year of grad school, I couldn't even get anyone to let me write music for them for free. Like it was just like so hard to get my foot in the door.
Yeah.
Like any responses I would get would be like, "Oh, like we're interested, but like we don't have any video right now." And so like I had a little bit of a background with like photo and video before that, but I was like, I'm gonna try and like go all in on this essentially. Like maybe there's a world where I can offer like video production and music composition as a package for
Mhm.
fashion brands. Like maybe that can make me more marketable. And so I kind of invested a lot in or invested into my kind of like photo and video setup. And then I got the first, it was like a friend's brand that he kind of gave me my first, like, just do whatever you want type thing. And so I shot like a video for him and then like scored it with like a soundtrack and
Cool.
then like took some photos as well. And so like all three of those, it was like, that was like the proof of concept type thing. And so
Yeah.
from there, I was able to pitch to other brands and I started getting more projects from
Nice.
there. And so now it's like, so I mean, full time, I can't front like I do this full time. I work in marketing full time, which
Mhm.
I think that all kind of helps me with everything else I do. But then I freelance with a lot of different other things. And so now it's like photo, video, um, music, that kind of fashion. Like I'm trying to design my own stuff as well, but that's like
Yeah.
been on the back burner, like, or not on the back burner. It's like it's something I very much want to do. It's just very expensive to get all that
Yeah.
off the ground as well, and a little bit with design still, but mainly like photo and video is kind of what I get hired for most now.
Cool.
And I'm just trying to get more with like the composition stuff,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's kind of a little bit of everything
Mhm.
is kind of where I'm at now.
Yeah. Nice. Your new single, Ebenezer, is very, I mean, to me at least, very cinematic, both in sound and in the visuals you've done for it. I'm curious how they've informed each other, if they have. Just knowing that you have a very visual background, is that
Yeah.
something you were thinking about near the beginning of the process?
For the music, absolutely. Like that's like with songwriting, I want to explore like more cinematic kind of what does it
Yeah.
look like to include some like orchestration type stuff into like songwriting and stuff like that. The visuals, I was actually not very involved in, or I
Mhm.
tried to not be very involved in because the way that it worked out is first I reached out to the choreographer and then we were going to, so we started talking with the choreographer to get that set up. And then from there, I was like, the choreography just kind of grew and it grew to like, at first it was going to be 10 dancers, but then it was down to 8 dancers. And at the beginning, I was like, okay, I can just kind of film this and then just like set up some cameras. But I was like, I have to be in it too. So I was
Sure.
like, oh, dang. As I started to think about it, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to deliver. Like, I don't want to let people down, essentially. And so
Sure.
I have a friend that she is a director and a DP, and we're working on like we're planning another project,
Nice.
and so her name's Shauna, and I reached out and I was like, hey, would you be interested in like directing this? You could have like full creative control type thing because, I mean, in the field with like photo, video, and stuff like that, it's not often that you get like full creative control. Sometimes or oftentimes you're working for someone else, or you're like a
Sure.
cop in a wheel or something like that. So I was
Yeah.
like, you can have like full creative control. And so I let her kind of take the reins on that. And it was an interesting exercise for me, at least,
Yeah.
because I think I grew up in the kind of DIY scene with like
Hmm.
playing like hardcore bands and stuff like that. You have to do everything yourself. And
Right.
so that's kind of naturally led into everything I do today. But
Yeah.
that it's hard to break out of that mindset where it's like, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to relinquish this to someone else.
Yeah.
And so as far as the visuals, I kind of relinquished all of that to Shauna. And I think it turned out great,
Hmm.
but I think she did a really good job with it, and the dancers killed it. Like,
Yeah.
it all kind of came together. But as far as visually, that wasn't really something that I was super involved. Obviously, I was like involved in the
Gotcha.
planning process, like to an extent, but
Yeah.
I wasn't like putting up ideas.
Cool.
But in the future, for like future songs, there's
Hmm.
definitely going to be a visual component, and I'm going to be more involved in that probably, just because I'm probably going to shoot it myself. Like,
Sure.
and so yeah, there is kind of a more like holistic approach to it, because the visuals have to inform the music, and the music has to inform the visuals, and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Yeah.
Cool. I feel like that's just from some of the people I've talked to, that's a little bit more of a unique perspective on it. I think a lot of musicians are like, they get done with a project or a song and they're like, oh, okay, now I need to make visuals for this. What do I
Yeah.
do?
No, I feel that. Yeah. I think maybe it's just because of my background that I'm just like,
Yeah.
it's hard to turn it off where I'm like, where you're not thinking about it. And I don't know
Yeah.
if it's like this, but even growing up, like before I was doing anything with video, I would always like imagine music videos in my head for like my favorite songs.
Oh, cool.
And so I would kind of like for my favorite, all growing up, my favorite songs, I would always imagine music videos in my head. So I think that's always kind of just been intertwined.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now I finally get to actually run with it. But
That's cool. Okay, let's dive a little bit more into songwriting now.
so
If you were to hang up this call right now with the intention of writing a song, what would those, just walk me through like what that initial process might look like? Not
sure.
necessarily what it is every time, but just what might it be if you were to go write right now?
Yeah. So usually, if I was realistically, if I was going to go write something right now, I would probably base it off of some voice note I have on my phone that I've
Hmm.
already come up with some sort of idea or melody or something while walking or something like that. So I would
Right.
usually start it from that point. But if I was starting like completely from scratch, I'm always going to start with the melody. That's kind of like songwriting, composition. I always start with the melody. It probably comes from my background of not having a chordal background, where
Yeah.
like I'm not really super fluent on the piano, and so I'll start with the melody, and if it's with songwriting, I just want it to be probably catchy at least, or like but then I'll start thinking of it like vertically. So it's like, if I'm thinking of the melody, like, where do I want chords in this, and what kind of chords would work with that note in the melody, and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So, but it's always going to start with a melody, and then I'll also melody, chords, either lyrics, and then production. Like, production has become such a big part of my songwriting process,
Yeah.
where like that's part of the song for me now, where
Mhm.
it's like exploring all like samples and all the different VSTs and things like that, where it's like that's part of the texture. But I
Yeah.
still need the framework first, and
Sure.
so it's going to start with melody and chords, and then lyrics, which I know is probably different than a lot of people that you've talked to, or maybe even how you write yourself. But I know a lot of people
Yeah.
start with lyrics. But for me, I just can't do it.
Do you produce as you go? Like, how early on are you bringing that into it?
Yeah, so pretty much as soon as I have the melody and the chord structure, like the structure of the song,
Hmm.
as soon as I have that, I'll start fleshing it out. So
Cool.
I'll be producing based on the structure alone, because then I'm not even going to record the vocals until the end anyway, because I would still
Right.
need lyrics and all that stuff. But pretty much once I have the structure and the chords, I'll start to go flesh it out. in Logic.
Cool. And then how do lyrics start to come?
Sometimes very slowly, honestly. It's like I'll think about what I want to say in the song,
Hmm.
which oftentimes is not super granular, but it's more so just like a general concepts. Like
Sure.
sometimes I'll write about specific instances or stuff like
Hmm.
that, but it does tend to be a little bit more general. Um, I'll probably start with the chorus and then
Okay.
the verses come last, which
Yeah.
if I'm being transparent, I kind of dread writing verses a little bit just because
Yeah.
it's so easy for it to sound corny or
Hmm.
like feel corny or essentially like also like syllabically to not like it wouldn't come natural to like how you would say it.
Sure.
Yeah, and so yeah, I struggle with the verses, but lyrically it there's not one way that I'll go about it. It's kind of like path of least resistance
Sure.
with lyrics. Yeah.
What's different about the chorus for you? Why does that not feel like it has the same pull towards corniness?
Mainly because the chorus, I feel like it should, at least me personally, I feel like the chorus should be more, I guess, vague. Like
Sure.
I feel like it especially because I am approaching all of this kind of like with pop music in mind.
Hmm.
Even though it might not sound like it, but like with Ebenezer, but I still want to approach it like a pop producer, and
Yeah.
I've been able to produce pop music for other people, and so kind of applying that stuff as like the framework, and then getting weird with it and like the production. But I still
Hmm.
want it to be really catchy. I still want it to be not really catchy, but I still want it to be catchy. I still want it to be
Yeah.
like something that people can sing back or stuff like that. And so for the chorus, it can be a little more general. I think I start to feel a little corny when I get really granular with the lyrics, where I'm
Yeah.
starting to describe a specific instance or something like that. Like,
Hmm.
and maybe corny is not the right word. It just doesn't come naturally for me. But for some
Hmm.
reason, the chorus is that's what I'd like to tackle first because it's like
Yeah.
it's what I mean. If I think if you do it well, that's what people are going to remember
Yeah.
to most of the time. But
Sure. No, it's interesting. I'm thinking about, for me, I know when I'm writing, I can have a very sensitive corny meter or like cliche meter
yeah,
where
yeah,
like something
totally.
starts to feel like cliche or like a trope or like it's
Yeah.
corny, and I want to shut it down immediately unless I'm just like fine with writing a terrible song that day. And yeah, your note about it being specific is interesting because I totally hear that. I agree. And it's making me think about the way I see it too, that like if the specific lines are not like real or genuine,
Yeah.
then even more so. Like I was thinking about it today with something I was working on. Like I think as a writer it's easy to say like, oh well, this is about me and my life, and so it's real and it's vulnerable and it's raw and whatever, so it's good, when like it can still have that pull towards corniness if you don't really like lean in and find
Yeah.
how you can make it more real. I don't know. Does like any of that
100%. Yeah.
resonate?
I think you kind of zeroed in on it where it's a lot easier when it's very authentic, and I
Yeah.
think it's hard to find that place sometimes, or like
Y-
how authentic you want to be with this.
Sure. And I'm curious for you, what is it like getting into the emotional state of the song when you're kind of coming at it from the angle you're coming at, where like I'm working on this instrumental for a while, I'm kicking the melody around, I'm starting to produce it. Okay, now time for lyrics. How what is that like for you?
Well, I already know the kind of emotion and color I want for the song. Like that's like I'll kind of need that to go in the production.
Yeah.
But this is something I'm kind of trying to break out of.
Mm.
It's a lot easier for really sad songs. Like I think that's kind of my it's been my forte in the past. Like writing sad songs is something that comes a lot easier for me. And so as far
Yeah.
as now, I'm trying to break out of that a little bit. Like,
Sure.
but it's even with like with lyrics, like I said, I think I know the emotion that I want to get, but then it's just like how specific do I want to get with this? And
Yeah.
I'll find a lot of times what I do with like lyrically, like let's say I'm writing a song about like heartbreak or something like that. Like rather than writing about one specific person, I'm usually going to write about this kind of fictitious amalgamation of different
Yeah,
experiences
totally.
that I've experienced with different people that I'll put
Hmm.
into one fake person and then kind of sing about that.
Hmm.
Um, and so that I guess that maybe doesn't necessarily lend itself to the whole authenticity of it. Like, but I do
Sure.
think it's still like authentic. It just
Yeah.
might be with like the emotion is authentic. It might
Yeah.
just not be with like the story might not just be with one person or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
So
Cool.
yeah, I wish I had a better answer.
No, that's great. It's a good answer. Um, okay. You said you kind of dread verses.
Yeah,
Are there any other reasons why?
no, I literally just think it's so hard for it to
To not be corny.
not be corny, but then also it's like I never know how specific to go with it because it's
Yeah.
like if I go hyper specific and it's like a two-verse song, I it's like why did I go so specific for like it needs feel like it needs to be a lot longer. Um,
Is
but
there,
yeah,
sorry. I was just going to say, like, when I think of hyper specific songwriting in a good way, I think of like Phoebe Bridgers, like Scott Street. I don't know if you're
yeah,
familiar with that song, but it's like, it's very specific about like walking down this street holding your mail and a beer and like,
yeah,
and yet it's so beautifully and poetic and well written that like it works. But it's also Phoebe Bridgers and it's also like that genre. And so yeah, finding um the right writing style for the genre. I wonder what if that's a part
100%.
of it.
I think that's I think the genre is very important with it.
Hmm.
Um, that because like Phoebe Bridgers is kind of I mean fits into kind of like a folky
Yeah,
to an extent, and I feel
sure.
like I like growing up listening to a lot of like emo music or like stuff like that. And like I now I don't listen to it as much, but like a lot of like Midwestern emo type stuff, like
Yeah.
where it's like they're getting super specific with their lyrics and it's not even rhyming. And like I think that's super cool. I love listening to it. It's just hard for me to write that. I don't know
Yeah.
why. Um, maybe it's because of the genre and I feel like I'm trying to fit something into a box with like pop music where
Hmm.
it doesn't feel like idiomatic of the genre.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. And that's something it's definitely something I need to work on. It's not like a like I'm just writing it off. But
Sure.
well, kind of because some of the songs I've been exploring, I've just been like, what's it like to not have a verse in this song or something like that? Like
Yeah.
maybe I'll break out of that kind of structure and just not have a verse and have it be like a little more like I don't do you listen to James Blake at all?
Yeah.
Have you heard
Yeah.
the Wilhelm scream
I have,
first
but
album?
it's that's not one that I'm most familiar with.
Yeah, yeah. It's pretty much like a one kind of like sentence that he's just like repeating the whole song, and then the everything else builds around it.
Okay.
And now I'm like I'm actually writing a song right now where it's kind of like a similar structure. I'm exploring a similar structure because
Yeah.
it's I have a chorus I love, I have an intro I love, and I first started writing the song back in like 2013. I
Oh,
revisited it again in 2023, and
yeah.
I've got two sections I really love. And I've tried multiple times throughout all of this time to write verses, to write other parts of the song, but everything feels so corny to me.
Yeah.
Like, okay, maybe I'll do
That's
the
what it
intro,
is.
keep this chorus, and then just repeat this
Yeah.
multiple times, and then just like build everything else around it.
Yeah.
Um, Maybe that's a band-aid solution for me not being good at writing verses, but for
No, because
that song in particular, I feel like that's
yeah,
what it needs, I think.
if that's what it is, then that's what it's gotta be. I was thinking about that today. There, I was going through like old like voice memos from the past 2 months.
Yeah.
And there were a couple that like I were 20 seconds that I really liked, but I couldn't really see myself writing a whole song to.
Yeah.
And I went through a quick little fantasy of doing like on Frank Ocean's channel Orange. You know how there's that bit where he's like flipping through radio stations and like
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
fertilizer song comes on and it's like 20 seconds of a, and I was like, maybe on my next EP, I need to do that. Just like clicking through things. And then it's like 15 seconds of me with this little thing that I like, but I'm never going to do anything else with, and
Yeah.
just like have that be enough.
I think that's a really cool concept, and I kind of want to encourage you to do that because I think that's sick. And I love like the I've seen artists now, they're just putting out like the voice memos
Yeah.
on albums or EPs where it's just like,
Yeah.
maybe the idea is complete. Like maybe it doesn't need anything else.
And that's what I wanted to say to you too, is that sometimes to mention Frank Ocean again, there's a John Mayer album that has like a 1:20 Frank Ocean song on it, called I think Wildfire. It's one of my favorite songs on that album, and it's a John Mayer album all the way through, but like for 1:20, it's just Frank Ocean on a keyboard.
That's cool.
And I love that song.
Yeah.
And so like if you have a chorus or whatever that you love, you can make that work. You don't need to add other stuff to, if you've tried so many times and it hasn't worked, maybe it doesn't need it.
That's kind of where I'm at with that song in particular.
Yeah.
Where it's like, yeah, maybe the idea is complete. Maybe it doesn't anything else.
After you mentioned James Blake, I'm now hearing that influence on Ebenezer. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, he's probably like my favorite. He's probably my favorite artist.
Cool.
Yeah, I saw him live in 2013, and I think that like experience kind of just like changed music for me because whoa, like this. It's like if you're a painter and like you get a new color that you've never seen before.
Yeah.
And you're so excited to explore that. And I think his stuff, and it's such an interesting relationship because I love his production. I love like lyrically, I love his voice, everything. It's not like there's any one song. There's a couple of them, but there's not like there's any one song that I'm putting on repeat because I'm like, oh, I love this song. It's kind of just like as like a discography. Like I just love the discography. There's not any one song that I'm like, oh, this is great. Like this is like, and I think his writing style doesn't necessarily lend to being like super catchy. Like that's not like a dig, obviously. Like I love him as a musician, but I'm saying like there isn't necessarily as an individual with songs, like that's not really where I would go to, but it's just like production, voice, like everything about like his discography. Like I am very much inspired by that.
Yeah. I have like known of him for a super long time, and I feel like with each album he releases, I will like try to get more into him.
Yeah.
And I'll listen to it a bit. But the one that finally made him really stick for me was the latest album. I'm a huge fan of like that. I feel like with his other stuff, I'll listen to it all the way through and be like, I enjoyed that. I appreciate him as an artist. But with this album, I had that on repeat for a couple weeks. I was just like, listening to that a bunch.
I think this is supposed to be like his sound now. Like he's like free from all the labels. Like there's no one really like pushing him to anything. So like this is kind of like his first independent record.
Cool.
And yeah, I saw it live maybe like a couple weeks ago at the Greek Theater.
Oh, nice.
It was like super cool. Like the live show is just, it's awesome. Yeah.
I think I have one more question on song structure, which is about bridges. Are you caring about bridges, or are you just like verse, chorus, that's enough, we're done? Man, or are you making yourself write a bridge?
No, I'm not. I'm kind of, so song structure is something that I've been really kind of like exploring, just because it's like if you want to stay in the pop box, obviously there's very much like there's stuff that's been done, but it's like I don't know if I want to necessarily exist in that box as far as like from a structural standpoint. And so the concept of a bridge, I think I've wrestled with it for a while because for most songs, it feels very tacked on, where it's like we need a bridge, like, and sometimes the function of the bridge doesn't necessarily. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
For me personally, I feel like it feels tacked on a lot of the times, where it's
Yeah,
like we know we need a bridge before we go to the last chorus that people want to hear again. And I think what a bridge does well is it kind of changes the pace or changes the
sure.
lane that you're in. And I rather than doing a bridge now, I feel like I'm trying to explore a lot more. Okay, let's finish the last chorus and then let's mess around with some stuff for the
Sure.
like I'd rather do more intentional outros
Yeah.
and have a bridge for me personally, because I feel
Yeah.
like I can do a lot more. I can say a lot more in that, even if it changes completely,
Mm-hmm.
like the tempo, the color, like even if it changes completely, I feel like I could say a lot more with that than I could by trying to stuff a bridge.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean I'm not going to write a bridge, but it's like if it that doesn't necessarily come natural for me personally.
Yeah.
How do you feel about it?
Well, the first half of what you said, I've heard Bruno Major say something similar. Are you
Oh
familiar
yeah,
with his
yeah,
stuff? He writes like very intentional, like almost Great American Songbook type stuff.
yeah,
And for him, it's very much like verse, refrain, verse, refrain, verse, refrain. And he said the same thing, like a bridge feels tacked on. Why am I gonna do that?
yeah.
Um,
Is that how you write? Do you feel the same way?
I don't know. I think often I'll get to a verse twos are hard for me. I almost always start with verse one. So um it'll be like verse one, diving into something, chorus, trying to make sense of it. And then I'm like, I just made sense of this. Now I need to get back into what it's, and so like verse twos are um
So you're writing very linearly.
I do, yeah, usually.
Okay.
Usually it's very linear to that point. And then after struggling, fighting my way through verse two, if the song is worth it, uh, I'll get to the end of the chorus and be like, is a bridge idea coming? Is like, is it there? Does musically, does it want to pull somewhere?
Mhm.
Often I'm a big guitar solo guy, so I'll do like a guitar solo, like
Oh,
a
cool.
John
Yeah.
Mayer style pop guitar solo thing.
Yeah.
Um, which can function like the bridge, and then I'm back into the chorus. Um, or like a three verse thing.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, typical bridges are tough
Yeah.
for me, for sure. You mentioned outros, and I wanted to ask about that again on Ebenezer, specifically like I don't know if it was a voice memo or was it just intentionally recording talking, but you had like talking at the end.
Yeah. Those are all off my phone.
Added to the cinematic nature of it. It's also something I love. I love doing it. I love when artists do it. Fred again is
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
always throwing voice memos and stuff in there and then making them musical as hell. So I
Yeah.
wanted to ask about that for you on Ebenezer and in general, adding voice memos in. Do you get consent from your friends to do it, or are you just throwing it in there? You're like,
No,
it's
I
in.
actually didn't. And like the song came out and I would like when I was like texting people about the song, I'd be like, listen to the end. Like you're in like it was one of those things where I'm like, I mean, because all the voicemails, the voice memo. So the voicemail it's like one of the oldest voicemails. In the intro, that's like one of
Mhm.
the oldest voicemails on my phone. It was like a friend from high school. It was like 2012 is like
Yeah,
that voicemail, and I specifically wanted like kind of obscure. I put like a lot of reverb on it because
yeah,
the message wasn't really appropriate, but I wanted the texture.
sure,
Um, but versus the end where I wanted like yes the texture, but I wanted people to hear because it's kind of just like I mean the song is kind of just like talking about like I mean I can really go into the meaning of the song, but it's like I don't necessarily need to. But essentially those are supposed to represent the things in life that like that you can miss out on if you're putting all your time and effort towards this dream essentially. And
sure.
so it's kind of it is, I mean, it can serve as a reminder to me personally because I have the most personal connection with those voice or the video. That's just audio from videos essentially on my phone.
Sure.
But I think it also just probably gets people to think because it's like the general textures of people laughing or people cheering or friends talking or stuff like that. Those are kind of universal
Yeah.
sounds that people can kind of relate to,
Yeah.
even if they don't know the people that are saying it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. I love that. My partner has left me voice mails where
Mhm.
at the end she'll be like, "You do not have permission to use any part of this voicemail in the song, by the way." Like,
That's
so
fuck. I'm sorry you have to deal with that.
I'm very well. I'll put it in there anyway, and
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
show her. I'll be like, "Hey, sorry, it's in there."
Yeah.
Um,
Like,
okay,
please.
yeah,
Yeah.
I need to.
Yeah.
Um, with songwriting, is there anything that you're really aiming for or trying for?
I don't know. I guess I want people to feel something, whereas that's something that is uniquely, I feel like it's a lot easier to do that through songwriting than through like composition to an extent because like singing lyrics, like that stuff that kind of resonates with people.
Sure.
And I think it's so I don't know. I don't want to just say something I'll regret, but I'm probably not going to be writing just like a radio top 40 type song. I mean, watch me
Yeah.
eat my words, but it's kind of just like because unless there's a way to get people to feel with that, but it's kind of like and I think it I mean most of the songs I've written have been really sad, and so it's a lot easier to do that. Not Ebenezer. Ebenezer is not really like a sad song, but that was me trying to break out of writing really
Sure.
sad songs. Um, but with songwriting, it's like so that's from an emotional perspective, that's how I'm kind of approaching it, where I want people to think and feel.
Yeah.
From a functional perspective, I started putting out music because specifically for the fashion industry, people don't necessarily want to work with random composers. And so I was like, I want to start building like an artistic identity
Yeah.
with music. And so that's why I started getting serious with songwriting in general. But
Cool.
just from an emotional perspective, it's kind of just like,
Yeah.
I don't know, this is a way of expressing myself that I haven't really explored too much in the past. Like,
Cool.
yes, to an extent, but now I
Yeah.
really want to start fleshing this thing out.
Nice. What about on the flip side of that? Is there anything you're really trying to avoid when you're songwriting
Um,
other than a cliche first verse?
yeah, lyrically, that's stuff I'm trying to avoid having anything that sounds corny. But something I think I have come to a point where I understand what works and what doesn't work within my voice. And
Mm,
so writing now, I'm kind of trying to think of, is this going to lend itself to a texture that my voice would sound good over?
yeah.
Whereas I feel like so with Ebenezer, I really struggled with that last chorus because I wanted to make it very big and very cinematic but it doesn't matter what key I put that in, my voice just doesn't do big very well. And so like there's probably like 12 different voice parts on that last chorus just to kind of like doubles and harmonies and all this stuff just to kind of support it. And
Mm-hmm.
so now I'm like when I'm thinking I don't want to write something that is going to sound bad in my range and
Yeah.
also color and texture and all that stuff.
Sure.
So finding the right key is can take a while for me.
Mm-hmm.
I think Ebenezer I changed the key like 3 times and like recorded it 3 different times because
Whoa.
it wasn't
Such
working.
a
It was
hassle.
not working.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was annoying. But it's just like I'd rather do that than put out something I don't feel good about.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I'm learning what I can and can't do. And so like lyrically, I don't want people to like roll their eyes at anything I write lyrically, but I also don't want people to be like shudder when they hear like singing because it doesn't sound
Sure.
good. So I think
Are
those are the two like biggest things I'm trying to avoid.
are you recording your own voice and producing your own voice when you're recording?
Yeah. Yeah.
Will you tell me about that process? Like, because not only are you trying to sing, like you just said, something that's in your range, in your wheelhouse that feels good for you, but you're also the critic in the room being like, that was good or that wasn't good. So what's that dynamic like?
Um, it's hard because I'm very critical. Like
Hmm.
I mean, I'm sure a lot of people are like this, where you just don't necessarily like the way that you sound most of the time. And so, but I've also learned similar to the writing process, I've learned what works in the production process as well, where it's like this doesn't sound good by itself, but if I double it twice, maybe I add a harmony above, like I think it'll work. And
Yeah.
so sometimes you go all the way down that rabbit hole and you're like, this still doesn't work. But most of the time now I'm like, I think I'll know like
Cool.
how to record it to make it work a little bit better.
Yeah.
But I actually would prefer that rather than going to a studio, because I can do as many takes as I want until I'm like, I like that.
Yeah.
Whereas you can't always do that in a studio.
Sure.
Yeah.
Cool. If the answer is writing the verses, we can cut this. But what can be the hardest part of songwriting for you?
Um, Probably just making something catchy.
Mm.
Like I think yeah, it's like that's why songs that I'll start working on today,
Hmm.
I might have a voicemail from 2 years ago, because I'll come up with a lot of stuff while I'm like walking or something like that. And then I'll just be like, ooh, that's good. I'll record that. And then I'll at least, that's like an anchor. And it'll be
Yeah.
like, I can start from here.
Sure.
If I'm starting with something from nothing, um, there's like, I definitely have like, not like tricks, but like best practices with like, if I'm writing a chorus, like I know certain things I want to try and employ to make it sound catchier. But,
Okay.
but I think that is kind of other than coming up with lyrics, like
Yeah.
stuff with like a hook is, it either works or it doesn't. Like I can't just like pull it out of the bag sometimes.
Sure.
Um, Sometimes I can, but
Yeah.
sometimes I can't. And then you just have to feel like it's not coming today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about naming projects, songs, or if there's an EP or album on the way? Like, what's naming things like for you?
I don't have a lot of experience with it yet, just because Ebenezer is the first one that I put out. Um, that's also hard. It's easy to feel corny with that too.
Sure.
I think Ebenezer. This is also just for me personally, by the way. Like I'm just
Yeah.
like I'm
Of course.
not saying everyone their titles are corny. That's just that's something I'm wrestling with to try and
Yeah.
figure out. Ebenezer, it was just like the story itself reminded me, because I was like essentially writing it as like talking to myself from my future self at like the end of my life, and it kind of the story reminded me a lot of like the Christmas Carol, or like a Christmas Carol, where it's
Yeah.
like Jacob Marley comes to warn like this Ebenezer Scrooge is being so selfish, and he's like put his whole life into money, and then there's like three ghosts come and like try and like scare him straight type thing. And so I think I just like in that story, the character I relate to most, or do not want to relate to most, is Ebenezer Scrooge. Um, and then for that, I was like, I just like the word, I guess. So I was like, I
Yeah.
get it works. I mean, I wouldn't call it like Scrooge, or I don't know. That was like I mean, most of the time it's called new song version 727 or something like
I
that.
was gonna ask. I was gonna ask at what point did it become Ebenezer?
Yeah, that was very late in the process.
And it was just new song X until then.
Yeah, it'll
Wow.
be probably like, well, it was called March Song, I think, for a while, because I was
Okay.
set like a challenge where I was like, in March I'm going to write and finish a song.
Cool.
Um, and I ran into a bunch of computer issues and couldn't end up finishing it in March. But it was like March Song V6, V7, like
Cool.
then yeah, and
Yeah.
then became Ebenezer later on. But
Nice.
that's hard. Like
Yeah.
naming stuff is hard. Because you also want it to feel like an extension of your world that you're trying to build.
Sure.
And I'm also like coming from a place like the bands I listened to growing up, their song names are sentences or like
Yeah.
legitimately like probably,
Random stuff. And
yeah, like, yeah, if you look at like even bands like Chiodos or like Panic at the Disco type stuff, like where Fallout Boy, if you look at
yeah.
those songs, like the titles are crazy, and I think they're just like pulling stuff out of a hat, because it doesn't really mean anything with the
Yeah.
song, which is cool. Like sometimes I'm like, maybe I want it to be different. Maybe I don't necessarily want it to be representative of the song. Maybe I just
Sure.
want it to be something I like the way it feels or something like that.
Yeah.
But like I said, I'm pretty inexperienced with it as of now, just because
Cool.
I've only put out the one song, but
Yeah.
exploring that more.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I've got one more question before jumping into the slow round that I
Sure.
ask everyone, but I want to bring it back to visuals for just a sec to
Totally.
talk about like promotion and TikTok, short form video, just like the more promotional aspect of
Mhm.
music visuals. I'm curious if you have thoughts there. Any
Yeah.
insights, any things you've learned, anything to make it more doable or palatable for
Yeah. Totally.
me, but also the listener.
100%. And I've learned that most of the things I like doing do not perform well on social
Mm,
platforms. And so I actually am, so I've been able to do a lot of like short form content in like the marketing space. And
hmm.
so as far as like learning how to get people's attention in the first 3 seconds, like stuff like
Yeah,
that. Music is like notoriously hard to do this because when you think of like social content, it really should tick one of two boxes for it to win on the platform. It should either be like entertaining or educational.
yeah,
And so like music can fall into the entertaining camp.
sure.
Like that's most of what gets shared because I mean the like number one metric now is like shares and saves. And so if you either want like the entertaining gets shared a lot, educational gets saved a lot. And so it's like how do you fit into that box? So I really haven't been able to do too much promotion for Ebenezer as of yet, but now it's kind of starting the process where it's like you just record yourself lip syncing or like you record yourself like you just record like a so for me I'm going to use the music video a lot. I'll cut it up into a bunch of different sections and I'll
Hmm.
have some sort of lead in. Like I just did a trial reel that I mean it was performed decently, but it's just like the setup of the shot versus the finished shot.
Sure.
And there was like a cool little like slow motion effect thing that we used for the shoot. And so I
Hmm.
showed like the BTS of like the setup of the shot versus
Cool.
the shot. Um, but yeah, it's like it's hard because it's like I don't really want to I don't know. I know what will do well. I don't necessarily want to make it. And that's
Sure.
what I hear a lot of people complaining about. But that's when you look at I think have you ever heard of Johnny Valentine?
I don't think so.
So look up Johnny Valentine on like TikTok or whatever.
Okay.
Like he found one format that works for him,
Yeah,
rinsed and repeat,
I
and
might
he
have seen this.
yeah, it's kind of like he has one song that's really catchy. He slows it down for this version for the reel. What he'll do is he'll be out in public and he will do something to like like so some a friend will like bump into some girl at a place like that, and then she'll turn around and then
It cuts
it's
to like
kind
a
of just like
cinematic.
yeah, it's like a
Hmm.
cinematic thing. And so he's using so the format works. It's like it makes people laugh. It's like you're getting real people's reactions. It's leading with phone content, which definitely I would recommend that. If anything, like try to lean with that's what I'm saying. The cinematic stuff does not sometimes it can
Hmm.
work, but for most of the time, it's not going to get people to stop. Uh,
Yeah. So frustrating.
yeah, it's really frustrating because it's like I I want to make things that I feel are what I think is cool, but it's
Yeah.
just not going to necessarily perform on the platform. But I will say, um, so there's a band locally called Suburnia,
Hmm.
and I think they've been making some really good videos. But like in the kind of you might if you go on their page, you might see there's one that's I think it's pinned that has like maybe like 1 million views or something like that. What they do, because essentially you just want those first like 3 seconds are so critical,
Right.
and like you kind of just want like some sort of um like you want to stop people in their tracks, and so you want to break the pattern if people are scrolling, you want to break the pattern in some way. And so there's the video that worked really well for them. It's the whole thing looks very cinematic, but it's like they're about to start playing, and then it pauses, and then it like pans to the guitar player, and then they start playing. It's like stuff like that, where now you can work that into the actual, which I think this is going to be, I mean, that's kind of where we're at, but like where with like directors, DPs, like creative strategists, they're all going to be working together now to make like music videos that are social first. Like, I mean, I know we're already there, but it's like something like that. I think it works because it was planned. I assume it was planned in the like pre-production stage.
Sure.
And so you can kind of, it just like, it gets people to, because it, for whatever reason, it breaks the pattern and it gets people to stop. And then you hear the music and you're like, oh, this looks cool. It sounds cool. Like once you have it looking cool and sounding cool, people are probably going to stay, but it's like, how do you get them to stay to that point?
Interesting.
Yeah. So I don't know if I could have just said a lot of nothing, but.
No, I think it's helpful for anyone who's interested. For myself, I think it's interesting and helpful.
Yeah.
Because it's something we all have to do if we want to get ears on our stuff. Totally.
And I have two friends that they've been like, they've been getting a lot of traction with their music. One of them, friend Dakota Noxon, he has like incredible voice, but I think that is kind of what's leading his. So he'll do like a lot of covers and stuff, and his voice is kind of carrying the team on getting a lot of views. Like it's very relatable with people like, oh, I hear this song that I know that I like, and he has a great voice. I'm going to listen. So he's kind of taken off with that. And then I have another friend, Joey Naz, that they have just been like putting so many, like they'll do like videos, whether it's lip syncing or it's like just clips of, it's always starting with their face, and then it has some sort of text overlaid, and they'll probably post 3 of those a day. And I mean, the numbers, it's like the proof is in the with them, it's kind of just like the repetition is what's carrying the team on that. And then gotten thousands of followers because of that. And I think you kind of need to fall into one of those two camps. Unless you can really make something visually compelling, which is very hard. I think you either need to fall into the kind of impressing people with covers, or kind of like spamming, almost like repetition, like getting people to see you by putting yourself in front of their face. Like I think you kind of fall into one of those two camps these days. Yeah.
I wanted to interrupt really quickly to mention that I'm finally starting to post bonus content on Patreon. So at the end of this interview, Jordan and I talked for another, I think 15 minutes or so about some notes that I had written down from our conversation. And he dropped some good nuggets on songwriting, on melody, on catchiness. So if you're interested in that, if you're interested in supporting the show or in getting a little bit of extra content with Jordan, go check out my Patreon, Travis Barrett on Patreon. I'm going to start doing this with every episode, posting a little bit of bonus content. So this is the first one. So please go over there and check it out. Now back to the conversation with Jordan. All right, time for the slow round. Take as long or short as you want with these questions.
Cool, yeah.
What are your beliefs around inspiration?
Give me an example on this. I think
sure. The example that I give is the author William Faulkner was asked, do you write out of habit or do you wait for inspiration to strike to start writing? And he answered, I only write when inspiration strikes. Luckily, inspiration strikes every morning at 9:00.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of the one view of what a belief about inspiration might be.
I mean, inspiration it's been very elusive for me. I found it the most through traveling. Like for me, it's kind of like if I'm going somewhere and I'm getting inspired by like seeing a lot of like new creative people around me, like that's gotten me inspired, and I'll go home and I'll be like, that'll carry me for a couple weeks maybe.
Oh, cool.
And so obviously it could be a very expensive practice to try and make that regular thing, but it's just like, so, and you can't do that all the time, obviously. And so for me, inspiration's not always going to be there, and it's hard because I'm changing gears so many times.
Sure.
Whether it's video, photo, fashion, music, like I'm changing gears a lot of times, and so I kind of just have to start moving forward. Like the inspiration is probably not going to be there. Walking has been a way that I've gotten inspired. That's kind of been a way that that is able to, I'm able to, like, that's a tool that is more readily accessible than travel, obviously. But just like walking, just like it just clears stuff out of my head. There's like local trails or whatever that if I just go walk there on a Saturday morning, I'll definitely be more inspired in the morning than anything else, but it is elusive. And I think inspiration and motivation are kind of one for me.
Yeah.
And sometimes they're just not there, but then that's kind of where that's the practice of just doing it.
Sitting down to do
yes, even if it's not.
Yeah.
Like I wish I was disciplined enough to like wake up every morning and just start writing like free writing, like I'm sure you do because you named your podcast. I wish I was disciplined enough to start doing that, but I'm not.
It's tough. It's hard. Yeah, totally. What do you find yourself writing about most?
I feel like just like lost love is like the easiest thing for me to like. I probably have like 4 or 5 songs in the chamber on that already that I kind of want to just like space them out because I'm like, I can't just be writing about this all the time. Yeah, I don't know. Like that's, and also just loss in general. I feel like that's something that's I've like experienced a lot of loss in life. And I think that's something that's very easy for me to write about, but I don't want to necessarily write about that all the time. And so then it just kind of takes like Ebenezer was kind of, it was kind of an exercise in like, I need to write about something different. And then like, what else is affecting me in my life? I tend to be very busy. I tend to be, I'll kind of just like lock in on something, and that might mean I don't see people for a while or something like that. And I was like, okay, that is affecting my life negatively. Like, and so I'm going to write about that. And that's where Ebenezer came from. But I don't know. I want to find like happier things to write about, but the sad stuff just comes so easy, you know?
There's something about it that lends itself to be sung about, written about.
Yeah, and for some reason, it doesn't feel corny. Like the lyrics that when you're writing like sad stuff, it feels like it comes a lot easier to me.
Sure.
Yeah, and where it doesn't necessarily feel like, oh, I'm forcing this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there a piece of creative advice that you've really resonated with?
Something that, if you looked at my life, you probably wouldn't know this, but I feel like maybe like 10 years ago, I got this advice that kind of changed my life, where it was kind of just like, it's faster to roll a boulder down a hill than a bunch of pebbles. And so for me, I'm someone that's always spreading out and doing a lot of different things. So that's what I'm saying. You might not know that if you looked at my life at all.
Sure.
But for me, I do actively think about that, where I'm like, can I kind of consolidate this into something to get a little bit more traction? And so that has bled into a lot of different avenues for me, because it's just a lot more effective to focus yourself.
Nice. That's good. What is a creative goal of yours?
So I think I have this like vision where it's like everything that I've kind of listed to you as far as things that I'm involved in. I have this kind of like almost like utopian vision of like it all kind of working out in the end, where it's like maybe someday I'll be able to have like a fashion brand that I'll be able to write music for, like for my own fashion shows, and I'll be able to produce short films, and I'll be able to shoot photos, and I'll be able to, like, everything will work together. I think that is kind of, that has always been well, it more realistically, since like the past like 6, 7 years, that's
Yeah.
actively been the goal.
Yeah.
It's always kind of been passively the goal, but it's like been actively the goal as of the past 6, 7 years. And I think that is, I want to see that realized. But
Totally.
it's hard because I'm rolling a bunch of pebbles down a hill. You're trying to do all these things and you're trying to do them well
Yeah.
as it's going slow. It's going a
Yeah.
lot slower. Whereas like, and that's where I am trying to focus more on music now because I'm like, I want to try and put my efforts towards this. Like, this is
Yeah.
what I've been involved in the most. Like, this is something I'm passionate about. It's something I've like studied a lot. Like, it
Yeah.
makes the most sense for me to focus on this now.
Cool.
And then if I can get some traction here, then I'll start to try and branch out.
Yeah. Nice. Is there a song by someone else that you wish you would have written?
I actually thought about this a lot recently. I think if I knew, like, I don't know, this scenario wise, if
Sure.
I knew, like, let's say, like, have you seen the movie Yesterday?
I haven't, but I've seen like clips and trailers
Yeah.
and stuff.
So it's like this guy that he wakes up in a world where no one knows the Beatles, and he's
Mm-hmm.
like a struggling musician, and no one likes his songs, and so he starts writing the Beatles songs, um, and then his career takes off. I
Yeah.
think the premise is flawed. I will say that
Sure.
because if you put the Beatles songs in 2026, I don't think they're going to pop off like they did in the 60s. But that's besides the point. If it was something like that where I knew that I was like writing someone else's songs,
Mm.
I would struggle with that, I think.
Sure.
If like as far as like the inspiration came to me, there's definitely songs that I would like Landslide or like
Yeah.
And So It Goes by Billy Joel or
Mm.
have you ever heard of the band Bread?
Maybe.
Bread is like this band from the 70s that like they have this like some of the most beautiful songs I've ever heard. Like the
Uh-huh.
song called If, there's a song called Aubrey that they're like incredible. I
Okay.
think I would like if those came to me,
Yeah.
like that would
Those
be
are the
awesome.
ones.
But like from
Yeah.
a practical perspective,
There's no theft in this hypothetical.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. From a functional perspective, I wish more people would listen to Randy Newman's
Huh.
songs.
Okay.
Randy Newman is like an incredible songwriter, but
Yeah.
he has a very novel voice that
Sure.
most people probably would not put on the radio or whatever. But
Yeah.
he has like a song, like I mean, even the song from Toy Story, like
Mm-hmm.
when She Loved Me, I think is the name of the one. I don't know. He has another song called She Chose Me, and it's like one of the most beautiful songs I've ever heard.
Yeah.
But Randy Newman singing it, and it's like it's very novel. That's the way I can. That's where.
Sure.
And so it's like something like that, where it's like I wish more people could hear Randy Newman's music that might not have.
Yeah.
And so it's like maybe someday I'll try to cover Randy Newman songs, where it's like
Yeah.
if
That's
it
a
was
great
sung in a
answer.
way that's a little more accessible
Sure.
to people, I think more people would be incredibly moved by Randy Newman.
Yeah. I love that. Is there a music artist that you've been especially into recently?
Recently, I am really into Labyrinth.
Mm-hmm.
Have you heard Labyrinth?
Yeah.
Like does the Euphoria soundtrack?
Very
And,
cinematic stuff as well. I
yeah,
definitely categorize his stuff in that realm.
totally. And I think that's kind of because the sound I want to create, I don't hear a lot of it out there.
Yeah.
Cool. Like maybe that means there's a niche for it that I can try
Sure.
and fill. But I think Labyrinth does a really good job of kind of blending composition and songwriting. Yeah, I think he's been one. I really like Oklu. I think it's Oklu. I don't know how you pronounce it. I think it's Oklu. And actually, someone opened up for James Blake. I think their name is Emery, like Emory.
Mm-hmm.
I've been listening to their music, and it's really good too. I think it's kind of like I'm trying to find more of like cinematic, but also like electronic, but also kind
Yeah.
of popular music. That's kind of I'm trying to find the intersection of those three things. And
Yeah.
I don't think Emery and Oklu do like the whole cinematic thing. I think Labyrinth does that very well. But I think I'm kind of getting inspired by multiple things from multiple people.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do you have any writers or friends that you want to shout out that listeners should check out?
100% Dakota Noxon. Mentioned them earlier. incredible musician in general, like great voice, but also just like an incredible musician. We were in grad school together, and he is just now his career is like taken off, which I think is awesome. I think he totally deserves it. My friend Elise, who you've had on this podcast, actually. Elise is an awesome songwriter and musician, and I'm really stoked to see where her career goes as well. Yeah, I'm sure I'm going to forget people, but let's start with those two.
Cool.
Yeah.
Last thing is if you have anything to promote, and where can people find you?
As far as promoting, I mean, just check out EBENEZER. That's like the first song I'm putting out so far. So hopefully there's gonna be more. You can find that on all streaming platforms. The music video is on YouTube. They can find me on Instagram at Jordan Fox, and then there's 5 underscores after that. And I'm pretty sure it's the same handle on TikTok as well.
Sweet.
Not as active on TikTok anymore. I'm trying to figure out what I want to do with TikTok, but those are the 2 places to find me at this time.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Jordan. I really enjoyed this. I'm thankful that you hopped on and that we were able to talk.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. I mean, I'm honored to be here.
Sweet. Thank you so much for listening to my conversation with Jordan Fox. You can find his music wherever you stream music at Jordan Fox, and you can follow him on Instagram and TikTok, as he said, Jordan Fox 5 underscores. Pretty sure for TikTok as well. If you enjoyed the episode, it would mean a lot to me if you shared it with a friend and left a positive review. Those both really help. You can watch full video of all episodes on YouTube if you search the Freewrite. I just transitioned all of the videos from my Travis Barrett account to the Freewrite account. It's on its own account now. So head on over to YouTube, give it a subscribe, and maybe like a couple of videos. I would appreciate that a lot as well. If you have the means and would like to support myself and the show even more, like I mentioned earlier, you can check out my Patreon page. I post unreleased demos, music recommendations, and bonus content from the podcast every week. I really want to keep this show going, and supporting me on Patreon is the clearest way to make sure that it continues. Thank you again so much for listening this far. I really appreciate you taking the time, and I hope you make some time for yourself to create something today. As Jordan said, maybe it's time to roll some pebbles down a hill.